You're watching South Asian Newsline and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 7th of August. India won't compromise on farmers' welfare, says PM Modi after Trump's tariff strike. BASC report reveals widespread enforced disappearances and killings in Balochistan. And Nepal Law Minister denies any move to legalize polygamy amid rising criticism. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said on Thursday that he will not compromise the interests of the country's farmers even if he has to pay a heavy price for it in his first comments after US President Donald Trump's salvo of a 50% tariff on Indian goods for importing from Russia. Addressing a gathering in capital New Delhi, PM Modi said, for Indian government, farmers' welfare is supreme. India will never compromise on the well-being of its farmers, dairy and fishermen. And I know personally I will have to pay a heavy price for it, he said in a veiled reference to Trump's tariff terms. The remarks, which came hours after Trump imposed additional 25% tariff on some Indian exports, making the total tariff as 50%, which is among the highest levied on any US trading partner. Trump's executive order imposing the extra tariff did not mention China, which also imports Russian oil, but later said he could announce similar further tariffs on Chinese goods. The new tariff, effective from 28th of August, was to penalize India for its purchase of Russian oil, Trump has said.
हमारे लिए अपने किसानों का हित सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है। भारत अपने किसानों के, पशुपालकों के और मछुआरे भाई बहनों के हितों के साथ कभी भी समझौता नहीं करेगा। और मैं जानता हूं व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत बड़ी कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं।
India's foreign ministry has called the recent US tariff hike extremely unfortunate and vowed to take all necessary steps to protect national interest. The US tariff hike lacks logic, said Damu Ravi, Secretary of Economic Relations, calling it a temporary setback. He expressed confidence that a global solution would eventually emerge. The tariff hike marks the sharpest diplomatic rift between the two nations in years, following 5 rounds of failed trade talks. Negotiations stalled over US demands for broader access to Indian agriculture and dairy markets. In response, India is exploring alternative trade partnerships, signaling a shift in strategy amid escalating tensions. Both Indian and US officials told Reuters that misjudgments and missed signals contributed to the collapse of talks between the world's first and fifth largest economies, whose bilateral trade exceeds $190 billion. And for the first time in over 7 years, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit China to attend the summit of Shanghai Cooperation Organisation that begins on August 31st, in a further sign of a diplomatic thaw with Beijing as tensions with the United States rise. India-China ties worsened sharply after the military clash along their Himalayan border in 2020. Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping held talks on the sidelines of a BRICS summit in Russia in October that led to a thaw. The giant ancient neighbors are now slowly diffusing tensions that have hampered business relations and travel between the two countries. Trump has threatened to charge an additional 10% tariff on imports from members, which include India, of the BRICS group of major emerging economies for aligning themselves with anti-American policies. Meanwhile, India's National Security Adviser Ajay is in Russia and is expected to discuss India's purchases of Russian oil after Trump's pressure on India to stop buying Russian crude. Dowal's trip will be followed by Foreign Minister S. Shankar in the weeks to come. Dowal's trip will be followed by Foreign Minister S. Shankar in the weeks to come. Moving on, in a startling revelation, the Baloch Advocacy and Studies Center has flagged concern over a spike in cases of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings by Pakistani authorities in Balochistan. The organization has urged global intervention and action. We have a report.
The BASC, Baloch Advocacy and Studies Center has released its first annual report. detailing a year of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings targeting the Baloch population in 2024. The report documents 674 cases of enforced disappearances. Of these, only 208 individuals were released, while 466 remain missing. Disappearances often spiked after attacks by Baloch armed resistance groups, suggesting a pattern of retaliatory detentions and collective punishment. The districts of Kech, Dera Bukti, and Nushki were among the most affected. Students and laborers were disproportionately targeted, with students making up more than 50% of the victims, whose occupations were known, according to the report. The Makran division, which has a higher literacy rate and a history of political engagement, accounted for 42% of the disappearances. The report also highlights the use of loosely regulated intelligence networks, arbitrary detentions, and prolonged disappearances involving torture and secret military trials. In addition to enforced disappearances, the report recorded 32 extrajudicial killings in 2024, with August reporting the highest number. Dr. Khurshid Ahmed, Director of Research at BASC, described the findings as evidence of systematic campaign to suppress dissent. BASC has urged international human rights organizations and the United Nations to take urgent notice of these violations.
Many deportees have arrived in western Afghanistan after being forced out of Iran with nothing but the clothes on their backs and uncertain about their future. With deportations from Iran already overwhelming local resources, the looming wave from Pakistan threatens to deepen the humanitarian crisis in western Afghanistan.
Afghans deported from Iran shared their plight as they arrived in western Afghanistan after being forced out of Iran without a warning. In 2025, over 1.2 million Afghans have been deported from Iran and Pakistan, with many arriving in dire conditions, often without food, water, or even belongings. The deportations from Iran have intensified due to tightening of policies, economic strain, and increased crackdowns in the country, with Islam Kala becoming the focal point of emergency aid and logistics.
خاوران گردنه تنباکو 3 روز من در اونجا موندم اولادای میایم که آقای ریلک و ما کسی کو نداریم 6 تا اولاد خرسال قطعی یک زن جوان در اونجا مونده نه پول است نه پیسه است این برگ خروج ما این مال دولت دیگه هیچ کس ارز غریب گوش نمیکنه.
According to a report by Kahama Press, Pakistan will also begin deporting Afghan refugees starting September 1st as part of a broader crackdown of those holding expired temporary residency cards under its illegal foreigners repatriation plan. Officials have cited that the rising security concerns and increasing pressure on national resources as the key motivators behind the move.
ما را آوردن اینجا سری مرز با خانواده‌مون برگه دادن برگه خروج گفتن که برین شما خروج هستید ما اومدیم سری مرز از سری مرز ما را از خانواده‌مون جدا کردن از خانواده‌مون که جدا کردن خانواده‌مون خبر نداریم که کجا هست کجا نیست ما را بردن طیبات چه سنگ سفید بردن گفتن شما جاسوس هستین خب ما که جاسوس هستیم ما چی از ما مدارکی چیزی داری نداری نه شما جاسوس هستین بگوید.
While Afghan officials claim they provided basic aid for the deportees at the border, challenges still persist, particularly for women and children who face severe restrictions under Taliban rule.
یا ډېر کسانان د دې لپاره تللي دي چې هلته وګورو چې موږ په دې استراحتي زندګي وکړو نو دوی کوشش دا کوي چې زموږ لپاره هلته زمینه برابره شي د کار زمینه برابره شي او هلته زموږ چوترونه یا کور لپاره ځایونه برابر شي د دوی غوښتنې تر ډېره حده پورې تر اوسه پورې خو دغه چې زموږ سره شریک کړي دي.
With limited access to jobs, education, and independence, their future remains bleak. Aid agencies warn that without immediate international support and reintegration efforts, regions like Herat and Nimroz could face rising instability.
Following the first anniversary of Sheikh Hasina's ouster and the recent July declaration, the Bangladesh interim government led by Chief Adviser Muhammad Yunus has sent a formal letter to the Election Commission requesting it to complete all necessary preparations to hold the next national parliamentary election before Ramadan in February 2026. In the letter addressed to the poll body's senior secretary, the Chief Adviser's Principal Secretary M. Sirajuddin Mia urged the Commission to take immediate measures to ensure a free, fair, peaceful and festive election, highlighting its importance as the nation has been unable to vote for the past 15 years. The letter also reaffirmed the government's full commitment to providing the Election Commission with all required support, including the use of appropriate technology to help make the upcoming election a memorable occasion. According to the Daily Star, Chief Election Commissioner Nasir said the election schedule may be announced in early December with the roadmap to be revealed in phases. The poll body aims to complete key tasks such as voter registration, training of officials and procurement of election materials by September, Nasir said. He also noted that while the Awami League remains banned from political participation, individuals affiliated with the party may contest as independent candidates and supporters are free to cast their ballots. Moving on. Nepal's Law Minister Ajay Kumar Chaurasiya on Wednesday assured lawmakers that the government has no intention of legalizing polygamy. Addressing the parliament, he stated, "No bill that adversely affects society or contradicts social values and norms such as polygamy will be tabled." His remarks come amid public concern and confusion over a proposed amendment to Section 175 of Nepal's Criminal Code, which would validate a second marriage if the second woman becomes pregnant or gives birth, creating what critics call a legal loophole. Polygamy remains illegal in Nepal, and the constitution clearly prohibits having more than one spouse, while the first marriage is still valid. Rights advocates argue the draft could undermine women's rights and open the door to institutionalized polygamy. Nepal's National Human Rights Commission has also voiced concern. NHRC spokesperson Tikaram Pokhrel said the issue is not a legal matter but a serious human rights concern. The Commission has recommended a review of global legal practices and aligning any changes with Nepal's international treaty obligations. The government has yet to clarify whether the controversial clause will be revised or dropped. And that's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Till then, good night.